Hello, my dear friends. Have you ever shared something so deeply personal, only to later wish you hadn't? Maybe you thought it would bring you closer to someone, but instead it left you feeling exposed, vulnerable in ways you didn't expect. As we journey through life, we come to realize a simple but profound truth. Some things are better left unsaid. Not because we're being secretive or dishonest, no, but because sometimes silence is a gift. It's a way to protect our peace, to preserve the relationships that mean the most to us, and to nurture the dignity we've spent a lifetime building. Today, I want to talk about 5 secrets. These aren't just ordinary secrets. They are the kind of things that, when kept close to your heart, can change your relationships for the better. They can bring you peace, strengthen your family bonds, and remind you of the power that comes from choosing wisely what to share and what to keep private. This isn't about hiding who you are. It's not about being dishonest or distant. It's about being mindful. It's about recognizing that some parts of your life belong to you and only you. And trust me when I say this, mastering this delicate balance of sharing and holding back, it's one of the greatest acts of love you can give to yourself and to the people you care about the most. So, stay with me today. We're going to dive deep into this. I'll share real-life stories, valuable insights, and maybe, just maybe, you'll find a little piece of your own journey in these words. And if these ideas resonate with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Together, we're building a community, a safe space to explore these lessons and grow wiser every day. All right, let's not waste another moment. Let's dive into the first secret, one that might just redefine the way you think about your past, your family, and even yourself. Secret 1, past mistakes. All right, let's start with a big one. Past mistakes, we've all made them. Maybe it was a bad financial decision, a broken relationship, or a time when we trusted the wrong person. And as we get older, we often feel this urge to share those stories. We think, if I tell my family, maybe they'll learn from my experience. But here's the hard truth. Not every lesson needs to be taught through our pain. Let me tell you a story about Mr. Lawrence. He was a retired craftsman, a man who'd seen his fair share of life's ups and downs. Years ago, he made a mistake. He trusted the wrong business partner, and it cost him dearly. Financially, emotionally, it was a loss that took him years to recover from. One day, he decided to share this story with his granddaughter. He thought it would teach her the value of trust, of being cautious with money. But instead of seeing the lesson, she saw him differently. Her eyes weren't filled with admiration anymore. Instead, there was concern, and maybe even a touch of pity. Mr. Lawrence didn't expect that. He thought he was giving her a gift, a piece of hard-earned wisdom, but in reality, it left him feeling exposed, vulnerable, and yes, a little regretful. You see, our families often look up to us as role models. When we share certain regrets or mistakes, they don't always hear the lesson. Instead, they see the person behind the story in a new light, sometimes one that's heavier than we intended. Now, this doesn't mean you should bury your past or pretend you've never stumbled. It means being selective about what you share and how you share it. For example, instead of telling the full story, you could say something like, "I've learned to be very careful about who I trust." A simple, powerful statement. It conveys the wisdom without the weight, because here's the thing. When we hold on to these experiences privately, they become reminders of our strength and resilience. They're part of what shaped us, but they don't have to define us in the eyes of our family. And let's not forget, some mistakes, when shared too openly, can unintentionally burden the people we love. They might start worrying about us in ways we don't need or want. They might even feel pressure to fix something that's long been resolved in our hearts. There's a beauty in keeping some stories to ourselves. It allows us to guide our family not by the missteps we've taken, but by the person we've become because of them. Someone who's stronger, wiser, and at peace with the life we've lived. So, the next time you think about sharing a past mistake, pause. Ask yourself, is this story for them or is it for me? By holding on to certain stories, we preserve not just our dignity, but also the respect our family has for us. We remain their source of strength, their quiet example of resilience. And in the process, we create a legacy, not of regret, but of wisdom and grace. Now let's move on to the second secret, one that's all about those little aches and pains that come with growing older and why we don't always need to share them. Secret 2, minor health concerns. Let's talk about something we all experience as we age, those little health concerns. You know what I mean? The sore knees after a long day, the occasional sleepless night, or that lingering ache that just won't go away. It's natural to notice these things more as time goes on. But here's the question. Should we always share them with our family? Let me share a story about Mrs. Eleanor. She's a retired teacher in her 70s, a strong, independent woman who's been through her share of life's challenges. Like many of us, she began feeling the little aches and pains that come with age. One morning, she mentioned her sore knees to her daughter. Now, her daughter, bless her heart, sprang into action. She went online, read article after article about arthritis remedies, knee braces, even special diets. By the end of the day, she had a whole plan mapped out for Eleanor. But instead of feeling cared for, Eleanor felt overwhelmed. Her daughter's reaction, though well-meaning, only made her feel more fragile, like her life was suddenly defined by this one small issue. That's when Eleanor made a decision. She realized that constantly sharing every little health concern wasn't helping anyone, not her, not her family. So she chose to keep the minor discomforts to herself. Instead of talking about her sore knees, she started focusing on the positive aspects of her day. She'd say, "I had a wonderful walk this morning," or "I'm really enjoying this new book I picked up." Gradually, the way her family saw her began to shift. They no longer saw her as a collection of aches and pains. They saw her as the strong, vibrant woman she always was, a source of joy and inspiration. Now, don't get me wrong. This doesn't mean ignoring your health or hiding serious concerns. If something truly needs attention, of course, you should talk to your family, or better yet, your doctor. But here's the key. Not every little ache needs to be a topic of conversation. By choosing to focus on the positive, you create a lighter, more joyful atmosphere around you. And that's a gift, not just for your family, but for yourself. Think about it. When your family sees you embracing life despite its challenges, they're inspired. They see your strength, your resilience, and in turn, they feel more at ease, more able to enjoy their time with you. We live in a world where it's easy to dwell on health issues. There's always another article, another news story, another expert opinion. But focusing too much on every ache and pain can pull us into a spiral of worry, and we don't need that. Instead, let your conversations with family be about what's good in your life. Share the joys, the little victories, the things that make you smile. Talk about the book you're loving, the recipe you just perfected, or the beautiful walk you took yesterday. And when you do need to bring up a health issue, do it with clarity and confidence. Frame it as something you're managing, something you're in control of, not something that's controlling you. By doing this, you set the tone. Your family sees you as someone who's not defined by their health, but by their strength and spirit. And that's the legacy they'll remember. So the next time you feel a little ache or pain, pause. Ask yourself, does sharing this bring value, or does it just add to the worry? Because sometimes keeping those small concerns to yourself isn't just an act of strength, it's an act of love. Now let's move to the third secret, a deeply personal one about dreams left unfulfilled and why they're sometimes better cherished in silence. Secret 3, unfulfilled dreams. Now let's talk about something deeply personal, those dreams we've carried in our hearts but never quite brought to life. Maybe you always wanted to travel the world, or open a little cafe, or learn to paint. Whatever it was, life had other plans, and those dreams stayed just that, dreams. And here's the thing, those unfulfilled dreams are precious. They're a part of who we are. But sharing them too openly, especially with family, can sometimes lead to feelings we never intended. Bitterness, pity, or even guilt. Let me tell you about Mr. James. He's a retired mechanic who always dreamed of becoming a musician. When he was young, he saved up for a guitar and spent hours teaching himself to play. But as life often does, it pulled him in another direction. He got married, raised a family, and worked hard to provide a good life for them. Now in his 70s, he often found himself reminiscing about those days with the guitar. One afternoon, he shared this with his grandson, hoping to pass on his love for music. His grandson listened politely, but Mr. James noticed something off. Instead of feeling inspired, his grandson seemed unsure how to respond. There was a hint of sadness in his eyes, even guilt, as if he thought his grandfather's unfulfilled dream was somehow a failure. Mr. James didn't expect that. He realized his grandson didn't see the whole picture. His life wasn't defined by the guitar he didn't play. It was filled with the family he built, the friends he made, and the lessons he learned along the way. So Mr. James made a decision. Instead of sharing his unfulfilled dream as a regret, he started focusing on the values that dream had taught him. He told his grandson about the dedication and patience he developed as a mechanic, qualities that helped him in ways he never imagined when he first picked up that guitar. And that's the key. When we keep certain dreams private, they become a quiet part of our strength. They remind us of who we are without shifting the focus to what could have been. You see, younger generations don't always understand the depth of these dreams. They might feel burdened by them or even sad, thinking they somehow contributed to your unfulfilled wishes. That's not fair to them or to you. By holding those dreams close, we protect both our peace and theirs. We keep the beauty of those aspirations alive without turning them into a source of regret or sadness. This doesn't mean ignoring your dreams or pretending they didn't matter. Quite the opposite. They still shape who you are, inspiring you to live fully in the present. But instead of saying, "I wish I had done this," try saying, "That dream taught me about passion and patience, and I carry that with me every day." Let your family see you as someone who embraces life, someone who appreciates the journey, even if every destination wasn't reached. Unspoken dreams have a quiet beauty. They remind us of the paths we didn't take, but also of the meaning we found in the roads we chose instead. So, next time you find yourself reflecting on an unfulfilled dream, cherish it. Keep it as a private reminder of your resilience, your sacrifices, and the life you've built. Because sometimes the greatest gifts we leave our family aren't the dreams we had, but the love and lessons we lived. Now, let's move on to the fourth secret, one that's all about how we handle our feelings of disappointment with family and why choosing silence can preserve those precious relationships. Secret 4. Disappointments or dissatisfaction with family. Now, let's talk about a secret that can be the hardest to keep. Our feelings of disappointment or dissatisfaction with our family. We all have hopes for our loved ones. We watch them grow, and we can't help but imagine what their lives might look like, the choices they'll make, the paths they'll take. But sometimes those hopes don't align with reality. And when that happens, it can be deeply challenging to keep our feelings to ourselves. Let me share the story of Mrs. Amelia. She's a retired librarian who worked hard her whole life to create a stable, secure environment for her children. Naturally, she wanted the same for them. Her daughter, however, had different ideas. Instead of choosing a safe career path, like teaching or accounting, she decided to start a small business, a decision full of financial risks. Mrs. Amelia couldn't help but worry. She imagined all the struggles her daughter might face, all the potential failures. One day, she decided to share her concerns. She gently suggested that maybe her daughter should consider a more reliable career. Her intentions were pure, born out of love and concern. But her daughter didn't hear the love. She heard doubt. She felt as though her mother didn't believe in her dream. That conversation created a rift between them. Amelia could see the hurt in her daughter's eyes, and she regretted speaking up. She realized something important. Even though her words came from a place of care, they had been received as criticism. So, Amelia made a choice. Instead of voicing her doubts, she decided to focus on supporting her daughter without judgment. She started asking questions about the business, showing interest in the passion her daughter was pouring into it. And something beautiful happened. Their relationship began to flourish. Her daughter started sharing the highs and lows of her journey, knowing her mother was a safe place, a source of encouragement, not criticism. You see, disappointment is a natural emotion, especially when it comes to family, but expressing it openly can do more harm than good. It can make our loved ones feel judged, unworthy, or like they've let us down. Here's the key: silence. In these moments doesn't mean we agree with every choice our family makes. It means we're choosing love over judgment, trust over control. When you feel disappointed, take a step back and reflect. Ask yourself, is this about them or is it about me? Sometimes our reactions are rooted in our own fears or expectations, not in what's best for our loved ones. By choosing silence, you allow your family the freedom to navigate their own lives. They'll feel supported, respected, and safe to be themselves. And over time, they'll remember how your quiet encouragement made them feel, not the words you didn't say. Think of Mrs. Amelia. By holding back her concerns and choosing to support her daughter's dream, she preserved their bond. She became a source of strength, not stress. So the next time you feel that urge to voice disappointment, pause. Ask yourself, will these words build a bridge or a wall? Because sometimes the greatest gift we can give our family is the freedom to be themselves, knowing we're there to love and support them no matter what. Now let's move on to the final secret, one that touches on a delicate topic: personal plans for assets and why keeping them private can protect your family's harmony. Secret 5, personal plans for assets. Finally, let's talk about a topic that's both important and delicate: our personal plans for assets and inheritance. As we age, many of us feel a responsibility to plan carefully for the future. We want to make sure our family is cared for and that everything is in order. And naturally, it's tempting to share these plans, to let our loved ones know what we've arranged. But here's the thing: sharing too much, too soon, can lead to misunderstandings, unnecessary tension, or even conflicts among family members. Let me share a story about Mr. Robert. He was a retired banker who had worked tirelessly to build a modest estate for his family. He wanted them to feel secure, to know he had thought of their future. One evening during a casual dinner, he decided to share his plans with his 2 sons. He explained how he intended to split his assets and even mentioned specific investments he had in mind. At first, the conversation seemed harmless, but over time, Mr. Robert noticed subtle changes in his sons' behavior. They began asking questions about his decisions, questions that felt more like suggestions. "Why not invest in this instead?" one son would say. The other hinted at adjustments to the inheritance split. What started as a well-meaning discussion turned into something else entirely. Mr. Robert felt the dynamic shifting. Instead of seeing him as their father, his sons began seeing him as a figure managing future finances, a role he never wanted to play. Realizing this, Mr. Robert made a change. He decided to finalize his plans privately. He consulted with a trusted advisor, ensuring everything was documented and clear. And then he shifted his focus back to what truly mattered, spending time with his family, creating memories without the shadow of finances looming over their conversations. This choice gave him a renewed sense of peace. His family stopped seeing him through the lens of inheritance, and instead, they cherished their time together as father and sons. You see, keeping personal plans for assets private isn't about hiding anything. It's about protecting the harmony of your family and ensuring that your relationships are built on love and trust, not material concerns. When we discuss these matters too openly, it's easy for assumptions or unintended hurt feelings to arise. Family members might begin to compare or question decisions, even if that's not what we intended. And the more those conversations linger, the more they can create tension where none is needed. Instead, focus on what's truly important, your relationships. Share your wisdom, your values, your love. If your family understands the principles you've lived by, they'll trust that your plans are thoughtful and fair, even if they don't know every detail. For instance, Mr. Robert found joy in teaching his sons financial skills, how to budget, save, and invest. He empowered them to manage their own futures without tying those lessons to his estate. That's a legacy far more valuable than any inheritance. By keeping your asset plans private, you also give yourself the freedom to adjust as life changes without feeling pressured or judged by family expectations. And when the time comes to share, you can do so with confidence, knowing your choices were made thoughtfully and with love. So, before you feel the urge to discuss your plans, pause. Ask yourself, does sharing this now bring us closer, or could it create unnecessary tension? Remember, your greatest legacy isn't the assets you leave behind. It's the love, respect, and wisdom you've shared throughout your life. By keeping these plans private, you ensure that your family sees you as you, a guiding presence, a source of strength, not as a manager of material things. And that, my friends, is a legacy worth leaving. Now let's wrap this up with some final thoughts about these 5 secrets and why keeping them close to your heart can bring lasting peace and harmony to your life. So, my dear friends, what have we learned today? Life is a delicate balance, a constant dance between what we share and what we hold close to our hearts. These 5 secrets aren't about hiding who we are. They're about fostering peace, nurturing love, and protecting the most precious relationships in our lives. Think about it. By choosing to let past mistakes remain private, we show our family the strength we've gained, not the regrets we've carried. By keeping minor health concerns to ourselves, we create a space filled with joy, not worry. By cherishing unfulfilled dreams silently, we remind ourselves and our loved ones that life is about the paths we've taken, not just the ones we missed. By holding back disappointment, we allow our family the freedom to grow into their true selves without fear of judgment. And by keeping our asset plans private, we protect our family's harmony, ensuring our legacy is one of love and connection, not conflict. These aren't easy choices. They take wisdom, patience, and a deep understanding of what truly matters. But the rewards, they're immeasurable. When we choose silence in the right moments, we give our family a gift that's more valuable than words. We give them freedom, the freedom to see us for who we are today, not who we were yesterday. The freedom to live their own lives without the weight of our expectations or burdens, and the freedom to love us, not out of obligation, but out of genuine connection and respect. So, as you move forward, I encourage you to reflect on these secrets. Ask yourself, what stories do I carry that I can keep as treasures for myself? What words, if unspoken, could preserve the peace in my family? Because at the end of the day, our lives are defined not just by what we say, but by the silence we choose. Those moments where our restraint speaks louder than words ever could. If these lessons resonated with you, I ask you to do one thing. Share this message, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join this growing community of wisdom seekers. Together we can inspire one another to live fuller, richer, more intentional lives. And finally, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these secrets spoke to your heart today? Let me know in the comments. Your stories, your insights, they matter. They're part of this beautiful journey we're all on together. Until next time, remember, the greatest legacy we leave behind isn't in the things we say or the things we own. It's in the quiet, steady love we give every single day. Thank you for watching and take care.